Hi, and this is Debbie. Welcome back to Cheyenne, Wyoming Urban Gardener. This is part 3 of the late season garden tour. We are beginning to get cooler temperatures now, so we're looking at possibility of frost in the next week. So we're beginning to start wrapping up the gardening season on a lot of the vegetables, but a lot of them are still hardy enough to last through a frost. So anyway, we're back looking at the radishes. I had completely covered this section after pulling the Kennebec potatoes out with radishes. These are pretty new, about 4 or 5 days old now, and you can see they're starting to get some of their other leaves, so they'll start filling out. These are the sunflowers that I was showing that are still blooming. These are some of the gray striped sunflowers as well as the red Chianti. Alright, I had to pause because I had to get the post mail. Anyway, did go ahead and find out what kind of squash this is finally. It had came up in this section. I had planted something in here and could not remember what it was. The tag came off, all of that. So I think it is a white pumpkin. So right there it is, or it is a white acorn squash. It's starting to kind of look like an acorn squash with the ridges, but it could also be a white pumpkin. So we've got one of the two there. Peppers are still doing amazing over here. Last time I showed you, they were still blooming and not quite having peppers on them that were very big, but now you can see they are nice big bell peppers in here, and I did give my stepdaughter one of them and some of the purple ones as well. She really likes the purple ones. White pumpkin through here, still doing amazing, and it was the oldest one. It was the one that was started back in April inside, and still doing amazing, and it is producing. You can see another white pumpkin over there getting pretty large now, and I'm going to see if I can step into the garden and show you the Tahitian squash now, because it is also over in this section. So now you can see that guy, and then the size difference with the white pumpkin, which is pretty large. This guy's already about 25-30 pounds and is starting to turn the butternut color, as you can see now, and is just about ready for harvest. And we do have several more of those Tahitian squash coming on. There's one down in here you can kind of see, and we have another great big one over in that section, and I'll show you here in a moment when I climb over to the other section. Corn has been amazing. This is the peaches and cream corn. Didn't like how late it was, so I'll go back to the early sun glow, but the peaches and cream was delicious, and we are still pulling ears like crazy. So you see that I have cleaned out some of the section already, and we have gotten that into the fridge, and we're eating on it. Not enough really to get into the freezer or anything, which I wish there had been, but we have more than we did last season, and I'll be planting even more the next season. Gold potatoes are doing amazing. They're actually starting to die back now a little bit. So they have potatoes down in there. Just waiting for them to finish on dying off as far as the vines, and then we will collect them. And I did notice these were the first potatoes that I've ever had to actually go to seed. So they have little seed pods, and I did find out that you can collect the seeds out of those seed pods and plant potatoes through seeds instead of just seed potatoes. So we have some of those seed pods in here. Let me see if I can find one, and I'm going to collect them and see what happens. So there you can see one right there, and I don't know many people have actually seen seed pods on potatoes. And there's another one, because they are a nightshade. And there's a few over there that you kind of see twisted around in the middle of the screen. So anyway, I'm going to collect those and give it an experiment and see what happens if I try to grow them from actual seed. So that is that. This is the third run of dill that I have. They're getting kind of big and blooming and starting to go to seed. So we'll have more dill. I have so much dill right now that is dried that I don't really have to worry about dill. These are the lettuce heads that I had planted. This is the Butter Crunch lettuce. They're doing amazing. They're getting actually pretty darn big at this point. Looking great. Did not get any watermelons this season. I did have some watermelons that were bigger than softball size and still in there, but just not big enough to really do anything with, and just don't have any color on the inside if you cut them open. So I think I might give up trying to grow watermelons, other than maybe doing a little midget variety of some sort, because they just don't seem to have enough heat here, even as much as the temperatures were this season. And I do have cantaloupes, I just did not get any watermelon, so that's kind of sad, but it was a good experiment again. Borage, still doing amazing. And again, this is the white pumpkin through here, and kind of mixed in now with the acorn squash from this section, because they did run all over the place, and you can see some of the watermelon kind of ran into it as well. So end of season, just kind of getting craziness and jungle-like in the garden, and even starting to die back. Here you can see an acorn squash peeking out right there. I've already pulled probably 6 or 7 acorn squash off of these, and they're in the house right now curing. And I have so many more through here that you just would not believe that are still coming on and getting ready. There's another one right there. And I've got another one over in this section somewhere. Just amazing amount of acorn squash that have produced, and I've got both the white and the green. There's the other Tahitian squash I was talking about. It's just as big as the other one. So we're looking at some rather nice sized Tahitian squash in here. And again, there's just Tahitian squash everywhere. So if you really start looking, you'll see them. Just kind of poking in here. Just most of them are still smaller. Got kind of a nice size one in here. There's another one over in this section that I can't really see. And the vine, again, gets about 100 feet long, sometimes more. They climbed all over the top of the corn. They're just everywhere in between the corn. And they are going all the way out to here. So it's already reaching and trying to actually climb our Jeep right now. So look at that. Just crazy amount of growth on these guys. So you got to have a lot of room for these, or run them up the corn if you have corn or some other crop that's tall enough to support this. But they really helped out with keeping the corn stable this season with wind and everything, because we've had some really high winds in different days. Cucumbers in the containers are still producing. Everything else is still producing. I have trimmed a lot off of my herbs and things when I gave some of them to my stepdaughter. Just amazing amount of growth. Lemon tree still doing amazing, branching out. Haven't seen any blooms yet, still waiting on blooms, but I'm sure it's going to get to that point. Still getting cucumbers off of these guys, even as bad as the vines look. Basil still doing amazing. I've trimmed so much of it off. You can see where I've cut off, and it still just keeps coming out like crazy. Tomato over here is still doing amazing. This is a not a Tiny Tim variety. I think this is a different type of cherry tomato. Still doing amazing, still producing. We still have tomatoes down in here, even though it looks ragged at this point. And these pear tomatoes, as bad as they look, they are still producing as well. Mandevilla still looking amazing. Got a little bit of some rust on some leaves just from heat damage. It is at the end of the season, and this thing will not overwinter, and it is so big I don't think I'm going to be able to take it inside, because it'll just take up so much room. So we may just let it go and get another one next season that's small, like I did with this one, that's reduced price, and just bring it on out, because this one did amazing. It bloomed 3 different colors, pink, whites, and reds. It was absolutely gorgeous. This cucumber vine looks terrible, but still producing like crazy. We have cucumbers down in here. I'm not sure. There you can see one. And there's a couple more on it, and it's still going. These strawberries are still producing like crazy. You see some there, and they're just kind of hanging all around. This cantaloupe, all 3 of the cantaloupes still doing great. You can see we've got some really large cantaloupes in here, and they're just about ready to come off at any point, so I'm hoping they finish on up this week. So looking great, and look forward to tasting them. So we basically have 6 left at this point, because we ate all the Minnesota midget ones. Oh, nope, 7. Forgot about the one up the top. This one actually grew a lot later. And this pepper is one of the lunchbox peppers from the seeds that I saved, and I went ahead and put it in a pot to see how it would do. And I think we're going to do our peppers next season all in containers as well, because you can see I have an amazing amount of peppers in here. They're gorgeous, and they all are exactly how they're supposed to be, being lunchbox peppers. So absolutely great. This black petunia produced like crazy, which is really just a dark purple, and is still producing like crazy and just kept spreading everywhere. Just an amazing amount of growth, and I love the verbena. The verbena has seeded everywhere. This is the Tiny Tim tomato that was my grandson's tomato, producing like crazy, still producing like crazy. One of the healthiest plants that I had. You can just see all the little tomatoes in there hanging all over the place, and I've already harvested probably 15 times off of it. This is another cucumber. This was a poinsett. Has produced cucumbers like crazy, and we still have cucumbers hanging on it as well. You can see down in there. And then we will come to the herb garden, and this will be the last part of the video. I planted some squash in here. They didn't do great because this is a different kind of ground. It was made mostly for herbs. I just stuck them over here because I had ran out of room. The jalapeno pepper has produced like crazy. I've already harvested, and it's got some more coming on it as of yesterday. I'd pulled 2 days ago, and it has more already. This is the other German queen tomato that didn't do anything. And lemon balm, I've already harvested twice off of it, and it's still going to seed. So wonderful growth on it. And this was the other black petunia that ended up getting some white on it, and my daughter loves it, and some more verbena. So all doing great there. This was the spaghetti squash that I had picked up that were basically reduced price. They didn't do a whole lot. They're trying to produce something, but they're just not doing great. And it got some cool temperatures here a couple of nights ago, and it killed off one of my acorn squash plants. I'm going to have to go ahead and pull that acorn squash early. And we've got a couple of more that did survive and still producing, but they'll probably get killed out tonight, because tonight's supposed to be down into the lower 40s again, maybe even 39. So kind of scary thoughts. Anyway, that is the garden tour for the late season. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to see notices on new videos as they come out. And I want to welcome everybody that is coming to this video from Cheyenne, because we have a group called Cheyenne Connections, as well as a Nextdoor app that we put on our phones. And I've seen a lot of people commenting about wanting to know how to grow things in Cheyenne, Wyoming, how they do, what all you can grow, and hope you get some tips and tricks and see what all can grow in Cheyenne, Wyoming, with some elbow grease and some love and just some determination. So I basically grow in 5 garden plots that are small. They're all converted flower gardens in the Sturgis house, which is fondly called the Pencil House, here in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And we've been here for 5 years, going on 6 years. And these are all of the things that you can grow. And we will go more in depth later in the season when we start preparing to put the beds to rest for the winter. So we shall see you in the next one.